Welcome back, Attack. Today we have a top 10 that kind of actually is a little bit of a downer. This is going to be the top 10 dead MMO. These are MMO games, massively multiplayer online RPGs that can no longer be played. Like, they're just completely shut down. Not that they have no population, but yeah, they just literally can never ever have a population ever again. And it's kind of sad, you know, these are entire communities that used to exist and now don't. These are entire games that have been wiped from the face of the planet, but not from the history books and not from our hearts. So for the fallen and in remembrance, let's have a moment of silence. And if there's ever been any game that you've played and is dying or dead, go ahead, leave it in the comments below. And together, let's mourn the loss. At number 10, we have The Matrix Online, which wrapped up its story pretty well with the endgame event that they launched, but I feel that The Matrix Online, or just The Matrix in general, has so much more potential to evolve its story and to continue to grow. It just kind of sucks that we didn't get that opportunity. And at number 9, we have a treasure of a game that a lot of people truly did treasure in their hearts. Now it's Pirates of the Caribbean Online. It had a niche, hardcore community that stayed until the very end, and Pirates of the Caribbean Online had one of the most epic final goodbyes ever. It was actually a pretty sweet event, but in the end, it was the final event, and the game just didn't really update itself enough, and maybe that was because it didn't have a large enough community. But then again, I feel like Pirates of the Caribbean Online, it was a franchise that could have had a lot more expanded upon it with its mythology, but alas, mateys, it's no more. At number 8, we have Phantasy Star Universe, which was one of the very few and first MMOs to be played on console. So, for many players, this was their very first experience at anything resembling an MMO. It was cute, it was charming, it was unique, and it was very approachable. Fun fact, we might, in the West, be getting a new Phantasy Star game, but surely, in the East, there is one being released. At number 7, we have City of Heroes. Now, this is a game that was quite silly. It was quite comical. Literally, it was based on comic books. And a lot of people played it, but it just didn't quite compete with its competitor, World of Warcraft. Truly, it's one competitor. World of Warcraft actually put a lot of these games out of business. But City of Heroes, the developers, are not done fighting yet. They've still got it in them, and in fact, they're looking at making a new game. At number 6, we have the Chronicles of Spellborn, which was for the most part a unique looking MMO, but played kind of similarly to what we are used to. However, there was a couple of minor differences that made Spellborn definitely an interesting pick, and it did garner its niche following. It did shut down, however, it was supposed to end up going free to play, which could have been huge for the game. We could have even seen sequels or at least future expansions. But the work never was completed. It never actually made it to the free to play market. And I really feel that everyone is worse off because of it, and now Spellborn can never be played again. Halfway on the list, we have Free Realms, which is kind of similar to Neopets or Club Penguin. It's a collection of mini-games. Anyways, it didn't quite fare so well with its competitors, even though it was newer and kind of looked a little bit better. It just didn't quite have the character, and it didn't have the community that those two games had garnered. So in the end, it didn't hold up, and Sony Online Entertainment had to let it go. At number 4, we have Toon Town. Now, this game probably is hitting home for a lot of you guys. This was a really awesome game, had a huge amount of commercials back in the day, and this was essentially like competing with RuneScape at the time. There weren't too many free-to-play MMOs, at least really good free-to-play MMOs, and Toon Town was something that was just friendly for everyone, for the whole family, for really children. But its child focus, of course, failed it in the end, but there is actually a fan-made Toon Town that you can go and play now, but of course, it's just not the same. Now, on to number 3, and that's LEGO Universe. Now, for me personally, I feel like LEGO Universe should still be around versus what we have with LEGO Minifigures Online, which is more of an action RPG, an online action RPG, versus LEGO Universe, which was truly like an MMO. Yes, it was kind of focused on children, just like minifigures, but it still kind of tugs on that nostalgia string that a lot of adults have, like myself. And anyways, LEGO Universe was actually a very interesting game. It just didn't quite make enough revenue in the shadow of World of Warcraft, and because of it, it ended up getting pulled. Now, number 2 on our list for Dead MMO is Phantasy Earth Zero. Now, this was a game that I was personally very enthusiastic about because it was a PvP game that had fantasy in the name, right? It's from Square Enix, the makers of Final Fantasy, so they could have some crazy ideas, crazy, very interesting and original worlds, as well as spell effects and all that good stuff. So, as a PvP game, it looked very interesting. It didn't seem bad at all, and there's some very, very niche and interesting ideas about this, but Phantasy Earth Zero ended up having some really ridiculous IP blocks, and they finally released it to these different regions slowly. And so after a year of releasing for the US, it actually canceled the US servers. In the end, guys, if you're gonna make a game and release it, try to release it worldwide. You need to ride the hype. And our number 1 Dead MMO is Tabula Rasa. Now, Tabula Rasa was actually a quite innovative MMO from a story design point as well as mechanically. So more than most MMOs, especially those on this list, this game certainly died before its time. You see, this game is called Richard Garriott's Tabula Rasa. This is Richard's baby. This is Richard's game. Now, what he did, he actually went into space. He went into a space flight for something like a promotional thing for the video game. This is his video game after all. And when he got back, or whenever you get back, period, from space, you actually have to be quarantined for a set amount of time. Now, during this quarantine, for which he went into space so that he could promote the game, the publisher NCSoft actually took liberty with his name and attempted to do an open letter saying that he was resigning, that he was going to leave everything, and that the game would potentially be shutting down. Now, I assume that NCSoft did this because the game wasn't garnering enough profit, but in the end, you know, that he did not actually do that. That was not his actual resignation. They ended up forcing him to resign. In the end, though, all said and done, yes, the MMO did die, but he was awarded with $28 million in damages, so, I mean, there's that. But still, guys, in the end, Richard Garriott's Tabula Rasa is dead. Well, that was our list. That was the top 10 dead and shut down MMO. No longer play these, except for maybe some exceptions, some like fan servers or whatever, but for the most part, you know, they're completely gone and over with. And there's probably, you know, next year, there's probably gonna be another list that I could make of some MMOs that have died. And overall, it's tragic, you know? These are communities, these are entire games, these are people's lives, man. At least second lives, that are gone. They can no longer be experienced, at least together. But we can remember them and maybe like take some of the lessons learned, right? And put them forward with some of these other games that we are playing or maybe even making. Again, if you have any other game that you used to play that you can no longer play again, go ahead and leave it in the comments below and we can talk about that. And remember to like and subscribe so you can stay notified of all these games coming out that aren't dead anymore. And please come back, Attack. Look forward to the next video and we look forward to seeing you there. Welcome back, Attack. Today we're going to be talking about the top 10 free-to-play MMOs for this year, for 2015, and I think across all the genres for free-to-plays, we've seen so much innovation in MOBAs, in MMOs, in like card games. We've seen so many new things this past year, and hopefully, maybe, probably so, 2015 is going to be just as exciting.